Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Conservative Corner. I'm Elliott Margolis, and today I have a special guest who's running for the Register of Deeds in this district, Jonathan Ring. Welcome, Jonathan.
Thank you very much.
Nice
for
to have
having
you
me.
here.
Thank you. Yes, my name's Jonathan Ring, a candidate for Register of Deeds, and thank you for having me here, Elliott.
Okay, so the first question is, because I can get confused by it. I think a lot of people can. What is the Register of Deeds? What do you do?
Yes, the Register of Deeds is the name of the supervising officer of the Registry of Deeds. But that's the question: what is the Registry of Deeds? The Registry of Deeds is your county recording office for all of your real estate transactions. That's where your deed is recorded. That's where your title is recorded. That's where mortgages, liens, anything having to do with your property, your real estate, is recorded at the Registry of Deeds office, and it's open. It's a public record. So I am running for Register of Deeds based on the fact that I would like to make sure that the registry is well managed, it's efficient, that it's there to protect your real estate title by promoting the Property Fraud Watch program, which is a program that alerts you to any possibility that anybody is trying to take out a deed in your name. And I would also like to make sure that the technology is upgraded at the Registry of Deeds as well. The reason, where I'm coming from is many people will say you don't have a real estate background, and I don't. My background is in management. I've managed UPS retail outlets. I've also managed a municipal office as well. I was commissioner of the Rockport Housing Authority, and I've hired personnel. I've created transparency at the Housing Authority, and the Housing Authority was a $3 million budget, and the Registry of Deeds is also a $3 million budget.
Okay, so why, you've explained what it is. What makes you think you're the better candidate to be the Register of Deeds?
Well, the registry is all about customer service, putting the customer first. And I've done that throughout my career. And it's all about hiring the right personnel. It's making sure that politics doesn't play a role in the Registry of Deeds. One of my prospective opponents is basically a person that's been involved in government her entire life, for a great deal of her life, has raised, my prospective opponent, Eileen Duff, for example, is a governor's counselor. She's pushed for judicial applicants that were not qualified. She's questioned other judicial applicants' religious affiliation, as asking them why they're qualified, or whether their religion their Catholic religion plays a role in making decisions. Those are questions you can't ask if you're a hiring manager. So she's proven that she can't separate her personal opinion and her politics from hiring the right people for the job. And a hiring manager needs to be able to set those politics aside and those personal views aside in order to hire the right personnel.
What is your district?
The district for the Registry of Deeds is 30 towns in the district. You can go to jonathanring.org, and I have a registry info tab that you can go to look at all 30 towns of the district. It's the specific district is called Essex County Southern District, Essex County South. So of the 34 towns in Essex County, this registry office is 30 towns in that county.
So the other one is only 4 towns?
Yep, 4 towns. Essex County North is 4 towns. It's Methuen, Lawrence, Andover, and North Andover.
Really?
So Essex County South is the rest of Essex County.
Okay,
That's
so
the
you go
simplest
all the
way.
way from Rockport
Yep.
on down.
Yep.
Eh,
Rockport to Newburyport to Merrimack to Lynn, all around Essex County.
Okay, now, one of the questions that, you see advertised on TV once in a while is the real estate fraud that's going on.
Yep.
Now, I personally have insurance on title insurance.
Yep.
Okay, my thought, silly me, means that I should be covered.
Yep. And I'm not saying that your insurance doesn't cover you against, certain losses, but the insurance in and of itself won't prevent the fraud from occurring. Title fraud can happen by just somebody creating a quitclaim deed and putting your name on it and getting it notarized and going to the Registry of Deeds office and filing it. It's literally that simple. And if you don't know that that's happening, and you don't receive an alert about that, then it could be 2 weeks, it could be a month, it could be a few months before you start getting all these notices in the mail that you owe money for a loan that you never took out, or that you're getting an eviction notice, that your property has been sold. And then of course, then you go to the registry, you try to reverse all that, and your insurance should help you, in that process. But it doesn't actually prevent the fraud itself. What prevents the fraud is you actually knowing that somebody is filing a fraudulent deed, and the moment that you know that that's happening, you immediately take steps to reverse it before it goes any further. And that's the whole point of having, you have the company like Title Lock that, and I'm not saying anybody shouldn't get that, absolutely get that. But the registry has a program called the Property Fraud Watch program that you can sign up to. So if you're the one who conveys your title to another individual, you like have a son or a friend that you extend the right of ownership to through a quitclaim deed, then obviously in that email alert, you would receive that, but you did that, so you're fine. But if somebody else did that and you had no knowledge of it, then you receive that alert and you say, wait, I never did this. Then you can contact the registry office and say, I never filed this. Can you undo this? Can you take steps to reverse that? And then the registry contacts the proper law enforcement officers and puts a hold on it and can start reversing the process of that fraudulent document. But it all starts with you knowing, and that's basically what I want to do is take this office to the next level. I want to work with boards of assessors across Essex County Southern District to alert people about the Fraud Watch program so that they can get signed up to it and promote it, to all of the communities. And I also want to see if there's any improvements that can be made to that program, because I want to make sure that, because it all starts with knowing, and one of the jobs of the register is to promote the services of the registry, just like any company would promote its products to all of the customers. Well, if you want customers to use it, you've got to promote it. I want customers to use the programs that are available, so that they're better protected, so that their title is protected.
You mentioned that a notary has to sign.
Mm-hmm.
So once you find out that there's fraud involved, what happens to that notary?
Right. Well, ideally, if they can find out if that was actually a real notary that signed off on it, then that notary should lose their license at the very least. But I don't know all of the, and I'll admit this, I don't know all of the applicable laws and penalties that are out there for people that commit fraud. But that's one of the things that the registry can take a look at, is informing the public what those penalties are, and making sure that the Registry of Deeds works in concert with law enforcement to make sure that to make sure that those penalties are enforced.
If you look at the penalties, say, gee, that doesn't seem tough enough.
Right.
Can you go to the legislature and say, hey, we need to create a deterrent here,
Yep.
and that's not a deterrent. So could you file legislation that way?
Interesting. Yes, I could actually. I mean, as a citizen, I could file legislation. And on a separate note, many years ago, as a citizen, I filed legislation regarding tobacco cessation programs. With Senator Bruce Tarr. I've worked with and when I was in the Housing Authority, I worked with Senator Bruce Tarr's office in making sure that the Housing Authority Board was properly staffed with a state appointee. So that's definitely something I would work with my legislators, and all the legislators in Massachusetts to make sure that stronger penalties for fraud are promoted and enforced.
All right, I'm looking at your brochure here. I'll hold it up. And there's a lot of things on here.
Yes.
A lot of stuff. So tell me, you talked a little bit about your education.
Yep.
But you were also on the Rockport Housing Authority.
Yep.
Rockport Board of Registrars of Voters. So that's similar. Being a registrar of voters, isn't that similar type work to this, except just in a different area?
Well, the registrar of voters was basically supervised election. They supervised recounts. It's a little bit different. What's important takeaway from that is it was part of my community service. I basically am very involved in my community, involved in every town meeting. Although the Historical District Commission is something that I was also involved in, and I had to do a lot of historical research for the commission whenever properties were before the commission for an evaluation, whenever they wanted to make any exterior change. So definitely historical commissions use the registry service as well, just to know the layout of the property. And that's the other thing, just connecting the registry with plot plans as well, making the registry work with planning boards and historical commissions. The registry can be used as research for deeds that go back to the 19th century, 18th century, 17th century, and we have 400 years or more of history that is recorded at the Registry of Deeds. So having a functioning registry that will make all that information available is very important to the public as well.
Well, you and I have known each other for a long time, and I can certainly attest to the fact that you've been involved in the town of Rockport for many, many moons.
Yes.
And I know the kind of work that you do.
Yeah.
So, how long is the term for the Register of Deeds?
The term is 6 years. So it comes up every 6 years. The last Register of Deeds was John O'Brien. I actually ran, if you remember, I ran against him 6 years ago.
Yep.
And he and I had a spirited contest. I kept him on his toes. At least I like to think I did. We did have some disagreements, of course. That's why you run against somebody, because you see something he's not doing or something he did wrong that you think you can do better. But on the plus side, he's retired now. He retired this past year due to health issues. And there's an acting Register of Deeds. I met her, Dorothy Hershey, nice lady. She's the acting registrar, so this is an open seat. But on the plus side, one thing that I took away from him is that he cared a lot about title security and preventing title fraud. And he had built a legacy on that, and that's something that I support. So I want to build on John O'Brien's legacy of title security and preventing and doing everything I can to promote those programs and enhance them to prevent title fraud.
Okay, now you've got, you went to North Shore Community
Yep,
College,
yep.
and you audited business ethics classes at Gordon Cromwell.
Gordon Conwell Seminary. I took a business class there. I only wanted to audit the class, so I didn't get any official credit. I have a Bachelor of Science in Political Science with minors in History and Management from Salem State, at the time college. Today it's a university.
Yep.
I took a real estate class from the Bill Morgan Real Estate Academy, but I ultimately decided I didn't want to go into real estate sales. And that can also be, as many people may not realize, some people feel that the registry, that somebody should either be in real estate to be a part of the registry, but the registry doesn't sell real estate. It doesn't regulate real estate. The simplest thing is it's a recording office that provides additional services like the Property Fraud Watch program. So I spent a lot of time just doing customer retail service and retail management, and that's my basic background.
What kind of improvements do you want to make at the Registry of Deeds? Me, I'm not a technological person. I'm lucky I know how to put this microphone on. So, but what kind of things do you see that's needed to be done to make it better and more effective as Fraud Watch or anything else?
Yeah, I'm glad that you asked. And I'm not the most technical person either, believe it or not. These are things that I would audit and ask the IT, IT to kind of look into to make it, more to improve the website. The website hasn't really changed that much. And there are other websites that from other registries. Not all the registry websites are uniform. Each one is different. There's 21 Registry of Deeds in Massachusetts, and they all operate under the Secretary of State's office, but they all have their individual websites. I would say making registered land more easier to search with the land court. Making the website easier to navigate, for people with disabilities. That would be important. Making sure there are translation services so you can translate into multiple languages. Google Translate can only go so far. It may translate the home page, but then as you go to different pages or different documents, it kind of doesn't provide that translation service. Also providing this one registry takes documents that are written in cursive, like the older registry documents, and they translate it into, and they have a typed out version of that. So you can actually, so you can read it more clearly rather than reading through the cursive of some of the older documents. So those are some changes that I would like to see happen.
It's interesting that, Massachusetts does not have an official language. Is that correct?
Well, I would like to think that the official language is English, but you're probably right. I'm not sure about that.
Well, I know the United States does not have an official language. And it would seem to me, now you're talking about having it in different languages. That bothers me a little bit, and I'll tell you why. Number one, I think we need an official language.
Yep.
But it costs me as a taxpayer a lot of money to have somebody put it in different languages for people when, we should have in my opinion, we should have an official language.
Right.
I don't want to pay for somebody, for how many languages you're going to put it in. Because there's so many languages out there.
Right.
So how do you justify?
Yeah.
Now I know, for instance, there's a lot of Spanish-speaking people here.
Yep.
We could really justify doing Spanish.
Yep.
Okay. How about Hebrew? How about Russian?
Sure.
How about all these other different languages? Where do you begin? Where do you stop?
Well, we're not talking about like multiple websites. We're just talking about translation services that would change the language of the website from one language to another if somebody needed that translation. So that's why you would need IT in order to kind of build in those programs that would just change the language of the website for anybody that needs that. We're not talking about like multiple websites, because that would be a little bit crazy if you tried to do that.
Well, that's what I wanted to clarify that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I want to do that at no additional cost. I mean, the registry takes in like about $34 million worth of taxes and fees and operates under a $3 million budget. Where does the rest of that money go? That actually brings up another point. And the point is, one thing that the registry of deeds possibly could monitor, and it may need tools to do this, but when somebody purchases a house in Beverly and they pay the money for the tax stamp, the registry is really great at doing announcements saying such and such a house sold for like, I don't know, $1 million or whatever it sold for, and we got X amount of dollars in tax revenue. Okay, that's great. But did that tax revenue go back into the city from which the house was purchased? Now with fees, like about $30 of the $75 fee that you pay to file a deed, that's supposed to go into CPC monies, and supposedly that's supposed to come back to the town. But how much of it actually comes in terms of matching grants, that's something that maybe the registry of deeds can look into. I don't have all the answers for that, unfortunately, but that's one of the things that I would want the Register of Deeds, preferably me, if I'm elected, to look into and provide a report to the towns saying, look, this is how much this is how much tax revenue went into the Massachusetts General Fund from the sale of real estate, and then and fight to get that money back to the town, to the city from which that real estate money came from which that taxation came from. And it's good for the homeowner too, who bought the home. They would want to see that the money that they had to pay in taxes just to purchase it, never mind your property taxes, but just to purchase it, is coming back to the community that they purchased their home in. It would be a win-win for everybody. So that's something that I would like to see change, that the Register of Deeds can do. I don't like the idea of just reporting it like a news blog or a political news blog, as if that's kind of bothers me about the announcement page, is because it makes it sound as if the registry actually did something to make that sale happen, to collect those taxes, when in reality all it did was record the document and have the state collect the taxes. That's announcing an achievement that somebody else did. And I'm not for that. What I am for is making sure that the communities get that money into their coffers, so that they can use it to improve their community, improve the roads, improve bridges, improve whatever needs to improve within your city or town.
So in other words, what you want is money that's spent from the community to go back to the community to help the community prosper.
Absolutely.
And that's not happening now.
I'm not saying that it's not, but I'm not saying we don't know if it is. I mean, I am saying we don't know if it is, and nobody's really monitoring it. And plus, these communities are always fighting for that money. Why
Everybody's fighting for the nickel.
Why should you fight for the tax? Why should you have to? It should be an automatic. It should be the taxes that you pay in real estate to purchase a home should automatically come back, to the community, no question. So that's what I want to find out. Is it coming back? And if it's not, how can we fight to get it, automatically? If there's any legislation I would propose, that's the legislation I would propose, to have the money from the tax stamp automatically come back to the community from which the property was purchased. So maybe as a register, I'll sponsor that legislation.
See, that sounds like the right thing to do.
Yep.
It's important that the city or town gets money to improve itself.
Right, exactly.
Even if it's just fixing some roads or key thing, fixing the infrastructure.
Yeah, exactly.
It just costs a lot of money.
Going back to public education.
Well, there you go.
Definitely.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
All right, so little time left. I'm going to give you the floor, not that you haven't had most of it anyhow, just to tell people who you are, what you're running for, and why you deserve their vote.
Thank you. My name is Jonathan Ring. I'm running for Register of Deeds. The election is on November 5th. You can also early vote starting October 19th. I am running for the Essex County Southern District, which is 30 towns in Essex County. If you want to see if you're in my district, go to jonathanring.org. That's jonathanring.org. And you can go to the registry info tab. I believe I'm the most qualified candidate because I have the management experience and the community experience and fresh, new, and bold ideas to bring to the registry. And I want to make sure that the registry is serving you, the customer, and the taxpayer. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope to see you on Election Day. Remember, Jonathan Ring for Register of Deeds on November 5th.
Okay, Jonathan, thank you very much for being here. This was interesting. I
Thank you.
I learned a little bit, actually a lot, because it's not one of those offices that you hear that much about.
Yeah.
So this was interesting for me to understand what's going on.
Yep. It's very much a down ballot race at the bottom of the ballot.
Yeah. And thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something, and we'll see you next time.